It won't be long until you'll get a frantic video call from your boss or your CEO, or a panicked voice message from a loved one urgently requesting a money transfer.
They're coming for you, Neo, and I don't know what they're going to do.
The face and voice will seem identical to the real person, but it won't be. In 2025, such scenarios have moved from science fiction to sobering reality. Advances in AI-generated deepfakes, hyper-realistic fake videos, images, or audio mean that seeing or hearing is no longer believing. Sophisticated fakes are eroding the basic trust we place in our senses, with potentially devastating consequences for businesses, politics, and personal relationships. The rise in AI-driven deception has been staggering. According to cybersecurity firm Moonlock, AI impersonation scams have surged by 148% in 2025 alone. Fraudsters armed with artificial intelligence can now clone a person's voice just from a few seconds of audio and swap faces in a video with alarming realism. In one case, criminals even used an AI-generated video of a tech CEO to announce fake policy changes, tricking users into revealing sensitive data. From such incidents, a clear message emerges. We are entering an era where default trust in what we see and hear is crumbling. In this video, we'll explore AI fakes and the death of trust through 10 segments. We'll examine how AI-generated fakes work, real-world examples of the havoc they cause, the erosion of public trust underway, and what businesses, governments, and individuals are doing or not doing in response. By the end, it will be clear why confronting this challenge is critical in preserving trust in the digital age. How did we get here? The term deepfake is a portmanteau of deep learning and fake, and it was coined only a few years ago, but the technology has matured at breakneck speed. Generative AI models, especially generative and adversarial networks, or GANs, can now produce fake images, videos, and voices with jaw-dropping realism. In fact, a recent analysis found that 68% of deepfake content examined in early 2025 was nearly indistinguishable from genuine media. The margin between real and fake is vanishing. Crucially, these capabilities are no longer confined to research labs or Hollywood studios. Open source tools and apps have democratized the creation of deepfakes. Services like 11 Labs for voice cloning and Synthesia or Deepface Lab for video face swapping put sophisticated AI manipulation in the hands of anyone with a laptop. The barrier to entry is frighteningly low. With just 3 to 5 seconds of sample audio, an AI can clone someone's voice almost perfectly, even replicating their tone and inflection. Similarly, one can swap a person's face into a video with a few clicks. What used to require special effects can now be done by amateurs or even automated. The result is an explosion of AI-generated fake content across the internet. I'm sure you've seen videos like that on YouTube. Alarmingly, malicious uses are proliferating. A Q1 2025 threat report revealed that deepfake activity is dominated by video, 46% of cases, followed by fake images at 32% and audio at 22%. Bad actors are combining modalities. For example, pairing a fabricated video with a cloned voice to create synchronized impersonations that are almost impossible to detect on site. Such hyper-realistic fakes are no longer just novelties or entertainment. They have become potent weapons in the hands of cyber criminals, fraudsters, and propagandists. As the technology improves, the cost of creating fakes plummets, and their presence multiplies. We face a growing authentication crisis, a struggle to tell truth from fabrication. Next, we'll look into how this is causing a crisis of trust among the public. The onslaught of AI-generated fakes has precipitated a full-blown crisis of trust. People are increasingly unsure if what they see or read online is real. Surveys in 2025 paint a stark picture. 85% of Americans report they have become less likely to trust news, images, or videos online in the last year because of realistic deepfakes. This indicates an overwhelming majority now doubt the authenticity of digital content, a dramatic shift in a short time. 81% of Americans fear that fake video or audio could be used to harm their family personally. The deepfake threat is no longer seen as distant or hypothetical. It feels personal. In a global consumer study, 69% of respondents across multiple countries said that AI-powered fraud, like deepfakes and AI scams, poses a greater threat to personal security than traditional identity theft. Nearly 7 in 10 also said they are more skeptical of the content they see online than they were just a year ago. Simply put, confidence in digital information is crumbling. Where once the adage was seeing is believing, now consumers hesitate. Only 37% of people surveyed said they are more inclined to believe that social media accounts are authentic compared to last year, and a mere 36% feel more trusting of news they encounter online. The majority have lost trust or remain highly wary. This collapse in credibility is unprecedented in the modern era. What exactly are people most worried about? One detailed survey in June 2025 asked Americans which form of AI fakery concerns them the most. The results show video at the top of the fear index, reflecting how seeing a fake video can be more convincing and disturbing than other formats. Another global survey reveals that people worry about a range of AI-driven fraud tactics on a day-to-day basis, from bogus IDs to scam emails and face or voice clones. This table highlights key concerns and percentages of consumers globally and in tech-aware Singapore who are actively worried about each issue. It's clear that nearly 3/4 of people worldwide are worried about deepfake videos or voice clones on a regular basis. These concerns even outweigh fears of traditional fraud techniques. Digital trust is evaporating. People now approach online content with a default skepticism that didn't exist a few years ago. In effect, we are living through the death of trust in a digital realm, a profound shift where authenticity can no longer be assumed. This erosion of trust has sweeping implications. In the next chapters, we will look at concrete examples of how AI fakes have been used to scam individuals and businesses and spread disinformation, further fueling this trust crisis. One of the most immediate threats posed by AI fakes is the area of fraud and impersonation scams. Cyber criminals have enthusiastically embraced deepfake technology to do what they've always done: con people. Consider the following real incidents that illustrate the new breed of scams. The $25 million CEO impersonation. In 2024, employees of a UK-based company joined what looked like a routine call with their CFO. Unbeknownst to them, the person on screen wasn't the real executive at all. It was a deepfake video, crafted by attackers to perfectly mimic the CEO's voice and face, and during the call, he authorized transfers of funds for a bogus acquisition, totaling $25 million, before the fraud was discovered. The deepfake was so convincing that staff had no idea they were deceived until it was far too late. The $35 million voice clone heist. In another case, a bank manager received a phone call from what sounded exactly like one of the bank's directors, instructing an urgent transfer of funds. Trusting the familiar voice, the manager wired $35 million to the designated account. Only later was it revealed that the director was an AI voice clone, backed by forged emails and a carefully orchestrated hoax. This incident shows how voice alone, when cloned well, can circumvent verification if no visual cues are involved. The kidnap ransom call. A recent chilling scam involved a mother who got a call claiming her daughter had been kidnapped. On the line was her daughter's voice, sobbing and pleading for help. In reality, the daughter was completely safe. Scammers had just used a 3-second audio clip of the girl's voice, pulled from social media, to generate a fake that even the girl's own mother believed. While this mother realized it was a hoax before sending money, many parents might panic and pay immediately. A report found that most people cannot distinguish an AI-cloned voice from a real person's voice, underscoring how effective this tactic can be. These cases underscore an alarming truth. Attackers can now easily generate convincing digital imposters that fool people and even security systems into trusting them. In each story I just said, the common thread is social engineering, powered by AI. Criminals exploit our human instinct to trust voices and faces we recognize. When an email, phone call, or video appears authentic, we let our guard down. The costs can be enormous, measured in millions of dollars or incalculable emotional trauma. It's not only one-off stories, the frequency of such attacks is rising sharply. Security researchers documented a 704% increase in AI-based face swap attacks on identity verification systems as criminals attempt to bypass selfie ID checks and biometric logins with deepfakes. Fraudsters have used deepfake videos to fool facial recognition at border controls and AI-generated personas to open bank accounts with synthetic identities. The FBI warns that these AI-driven schemes target both individuals and organizations, resulting in over $200 million in reported losses in just Q1 of 2025 alone. Why are these scams successful? because traditional verification measures struggle against AI fakes. Phone caller ID can be spoofed. Voices and videos can be faked. Even live video can be manipulated. One email provider found that nearly 48% of AI-generated phishing attempts, including deepfake voice video messages, slip past current security filters. The usual red flags that we tell people to look for, misspellings, obvious visual glitches, are fading as fakes improve. Often the only clues are subtle, slightly off eye contact, unnatural facial shadows, or audio that has a faint, robotic undertone. But in a moment of crisis, who is calmly analyzing these subtleties? Scammers count on quick, emotional reactions, and AI gives them the perfect tools to generate urgency and fear. For businesses, the emergence of deepfake scams is a game changer. It's no longer enough to verify a transaction with a voice approval or assume a video caller is who they appear to be. Companies must now implement strict, multi-factor verification for backup channels. For example, after the high-profile deepfake CEO frauds, many firms instituted policies to verify any large transfer requests via a second channel or in-person confirmation. Individuals, too, are learning to take a breath, pause for 9 seconds, as one campaign suggests, and call back a known number to confirm unusual requests. We'll revisit solutions in a later chapter. First, we turn to another sphere where seeing isn't believing: the impact of AI fakes on media and democracy. Chapter 5. Fake news on steroids, deepfakes and disinformation. In the political and media arena, AI fakes threaten to supercharge disinformation and shatter trust in what we see and hear from public figures. As elections and public discourse move online, bad actors have seized on deepfakes as a powerful form of fake news. Not just misleading text, but fabricated audio and video that can be far more convincing. One example occurred in January 2024. Voters in New Hampshire received a robocall impersonating US President Joe Biden, telling them to stay home and not vote ahead of a primary election. The voice on the call was a realistic AI clone of President Biden. Though the message was fake, it sparked real confusion and panic among recipients until it was debunked. The incident was a wake-up call, a preview of how AI-driven disinformation could disrupt democracies. If even a small percentage of targets believed the fake Biden message and didn't vote, the consequences could be significant. And it hasn't stopped there. Politicians and campaigns have themselves dabbled in synthetic media. For instance, in 2024, one US presidential campaign shared an AI-generated image of famous pop star Taylor Swift appearing to endorse their candidate. An obviously fabricated scenario, but one that nonetheless circulated widely on social media before being identified as a hoax. Such stunts muddy the waters. By the time fact-checkers label something as false, millions might have seen and believed it. State-backed propagandists are also in the game. There's evidence that authoritarian regimes have deployed deepfakes in coordinated influence campaigns aimed at foreign populations. These range from fake videos of officials making inflammatory statements to entirely fictitious news segments. The goal is to sow confusion, division, and mistrust, and unfortunately, it works. When people see a video clip, their instinct is to accept it as proof. Deepfakes exploit that instinct, injecting lies in a very persuasive wrapper. The effect on public trust in media is devastating. Even genuine news faces increased skepticism because audiences know how easy it is to fabricate convincing fakes. A late 2024 Pew Research survey found 57% of Americans were extremely worried or very worried that AI-generated misinformation will affect the 2024 elections. That concern is well-founded. During Canada's federal election in 2025, researchers discovered deepfake video clips masquerading as news reports, mimicking real CBC or CTV newscasts circulating online. One fake clip even concocted quotes from a former central banker to mislead voters. While Canada had a relatively secure election process, the lack of strict laws against AI-generated lies meant such content could spread with little consequence. It's not hard to imagine how, in a closer election, a well-timed deepfake scandal could swing results or at least cast doubt on the legitimacy of an outcome. Beyond elections, think about international crises. A deepfake video of a world leader announcing a fake military strike or a false ceasefire could send markets reeling or spark real conflict before it's debunked. We are entering a precarious time where any audio or video evidence could be dismissed as fake. Or conversely, clever fakes could be erroneously accepted as truth. This is the post-truth environment experts have warned of, turbocharged by AI. Facts become negotiable when doctored media is everywhere, and that undermines the very foundation of public discourse. However, it's important to note that awareness of this threat is also growing. Media organizations are starting to implement stricter verification of their footage. Governments and NGOs are spreading alerts about known deepfake campaigns. In a twist, the prevalence of deepfakes might foster a more discerning public, but it could also lead to cynicism and apathy, where people assume everything is fake or stop trusting media entirely. We will discuss efforts to counteract this, from detection technology and legislation, in upcoming chapters. For now, the takeaway is stark. AI fakes have weaponized misinformation in unprecedented ways, attacking the trust that holds society together. Democracies depend on informed citizens and credible information. If we cannot trust what we see or hear, the whole enterprise of democratic dialogue is at risk. Next, we will look at how various sectors are responding to this threat, and whether technology can also provide solutions. It's worth noting that the deepfake dilemma extends beyond high-profile scams and political deception. A broad range of victims and sectors are being impacted, often in less publicized ways. Reputation and personal privacy. Private individuals have found themselves targeted by malicious deepfakes, especially in the form of non-consensual explicit content. Unfortunately, one of the earliest and most common uses of deepfake tech has been to create fake pornography using real people's faces, often celebrities, journalists, or even ordinary people. One recent report indicates this remains the #1 case of deepfakes in the wild. The harm to victims' reputations and mental health can be devastating, and yet legal recourse is often lacking in many jurisdictions. Brands and enterprises. Companies face a growing threat of deepfake-fueled rumors or hoaxes that can damage brand trust. We've seen instances of fake audio or video statements attributed to CEOs that never actually happened, which can affect stock prices or consumer behavior before being corrected. For example, a single fake news image of an explosion near the Pentagon, allegedly AI-generated, caused a brief stock market dip in 2023, showing the financial stakes of such deception. In 2025, security firms warned that deepfake scams as a service are emerging on the dark web. These are essentially ready-made toolkits that let even non-experts launch deepfake fraud campaigns against companies. An industrialization of AI fraud. The dark web now offers fraud packs with synthetic voices, fake IDs, and automated bots, lowering the barrier for any criminal to attempt big heists. Public safety and social turmoil. Deepfakes have the potential to incite panic or violence. A fake audio message about an impending terrorist attack or a deepfake video of a public figure calling for riots could lead to real-world chaos. We haven't yet seen a massive incident of this nature, but experts insist it's a question of when, not if. In smaller scale examples, local law enforcement in various countries have had to debunk deepfake videos that falsely show police officers or community leaders behaving badly, videos intended to spark anger or unrest. These incidents widen rifts in society, as false visuals inflame tensions among groups. What all these examples illustrate is that no one is immune. While earlier we noted public figures, politicians, CEOs, are prime targets, an analysis by Ressemble AI found that 34% of deepfake impersonation targets in 2025 were private citizens. Attackers often go after regular people, whether to steal money, to bully, or just for the lulz. The same report showed that the top 4 malicious uses of deepfakes are non-consensual pornography, financial scams, political manipulation, and misinformation. This gamut of abuse affects society at every level, from individual dignity to national security. In essence, deepfakes have become a multifaceted threat. It is not just an IT issue or a political issue or a social media issue. It's all of them at once. The death of trust caused by AI fakes seeps into many corners of daily life. Whether you can trust that video evidence, that phone call, that viral post about your favorite brand, or even a family FaceTime call, this pervasive uncertainty is the collateral damage of the deepfake era. Having surveyed the landscape of harm, let's shift to what can be done about it. In the next chapters, we'll explore how technology, policy, and education are stepping up to meet the challenges of AI fakes. On the upside, the same AI advancements enabling deepfakes are also being employed to detect and defeat them. A global arms race is underway between fake-generating algorithms and fake-detecting algorithms. Every time a new deepfake technique emerges, researchers and companies rush to update detection tools that can spot telltale signs of manipulation. It's a high-tech cat-and-mouse game, and both sides are getting smarter. AI for deepfake detection. Researchers are developing AI models that analyze images, video, and audio to find subtle artifacts for faking. For example, some detection algorithms look for inconsistencies in lighting and shadows on faces, or irregular blinking patterns that early deepfakes often missed. Others examine the metadata and bits of compression that might indicate digital tampering. Encouragingly, new tools can detect certain deepfakes with good accuracy, sometimes by spotting tiny glitches in how AI renders hair or teeth, or a slight lip sync issue between audio and video. A 2025 trend is the use of AI to fight AI, machine learning that continuously learns the latest deepfake styles in order to flag them. Big tech companies are investing in this. For example, Microsoft's AI for Good lab is refining image forensic models to help determine if an image or video has been manipulated, as part of its responsible AI initiatives. Content authentication, or watermarking. Another promising approach is to authenticate the real rather than only catching the fake. This involves techniques like digital watermarks or cryptographic signatures embedded in legitimate content at the time of creation. These invisible markers can later prove that a piece of media is original and untampered. Major tech firms and media organizations have been working on standards for this. For instance, the Content Authenticity Initiative, supported by Adobe, Microsoft, BBC, and others, uses a system of content credentials that travel with an image or video file, detailing its origin. Microsoft has started adding such cryptographic watermarks to all images generated by its AI tools, like Bing Image Creator. The goal is that in the future, if you see an image or clip, you could check and see a verified chain of authenticity, or know that it lacks one and thus you might be suspect. While watermarks can be cracked and not all platforms support them yet, it's a step towards restoring provenance for digital content, multi-factor and verification protocols. In the context of scams and impersonation, organizations are adopting more robust verification protocols. This is less about fancy AI and more about process. Examples include requiring multi-factor authentication, MFA, for sensitive approvals, so a deepfake call alone couldn't authorize a bank transfer without, say, a code or biometric check. Some companies now have internal code phrases or verification questions for executives to use over video to prove identity in real time, much like families using a safe word for emergencies. These human-centric methods create an additional layer of defense. Even if the AI fake passes the visual test, it might fail a trusted passphrase challenge. Collaboration and threat intelligence. No single entity can solve the deepfake problem alone. We're seeing increased collaboration across industry, academia, and government. For example, in 2024, leading AI firms like Microsoft, Meta, Google, etc., signed a tech accord to combat the misuse of AI in elections, pledging to share research and best practices on detection and to refrain from certain dangerous uses. By early 2025, these companies were meeting to update and strengthen those commitments in light of what they learned during recent elections. Meanwhile, initiatives like the Deepfake Detection Challenge and IEEE workshops bring researchers together to pit their detectors against the latest fakes and push improvements. Governments are funding programs to boost detection tech. For instance, Canada is investing in deepfake detection R&D for integration into newsrooms and fact-checking workflows. Despite these efforts, experts caution that detection will never be 100% perfect, especially as fakes get more sophisticated and start to incorporate real elements. For example, a genuine video altered with a few fake segments. Indeed, Microsoft reported that during the 2024 election cycle, the hardest things to detect were partially AI-edited media. For example, a real video with a few seconds of fake audio dubbed in. Such hybrids can evade automated detectors more easily. This suggests we will need multiple lines of defense, better tech to catch fakes, but also educated users and supportive laws. Chapter 8 and 9 will cover those latter aspects. For now, it's heartening that a whole ecosystem of defense is taking shape. From startups offering deepfake scanning services to browser plugins that can alert you to potential fake videos, the fight back is underway. The key will be staying ahead in this arms race, a continuous challenge as generative AI techniques evolve. As one World Economic Forum report put it, detecting dangerous AI is essential to keeping trust alive in the deepfake era. There is no single switch that will turn trust back on. It will require sustained innovation and vigilance. While technology plays its part, legal and policy frameworks are also crucial in addressing the deepfake threat. Around the world, regulators are scrambling to catch up with AI-driven deception, though progress is uneven. Here's a snapshot of what's happening on the policy front. Mandating transparency. The European Union has taken an assertive lead by passing the AI Act, a sweeping law that, among other things, mandates clear labeling of AI-generated content. As of late 2024, the EU AI Act was enacted with provisions requiring that any AI-generated or manipulated images, videos, or audio that could fool someone must be clearly identified as such. This means an AI-generated political ad or a synthetic news video would legally have to disclose its artificial origin in EU countries. How exactly this labeling is enforced, watermarks, disclaimers, etc., is being worked out, but it's a strong step toward baking in transparency. Some US states, like California and Texas, have also passed laws specifically banning malicious deepfakes in elections or requiring labels on deepfake porn. But there isn't yet a comprehensive federal law akin to the EU's. Outlawing malicious use. Legislators are defining new offenses for harmful deepfake usage. For example, creating and distributing sexually explicit deepfakes without consent is being criminalized in multiple jurisdictions, building on existing revenge porn laws. Using deepfakes to commit fraud is already fraud by law, but some places are enhancing penalties if AI was used. China introduced rules requiring government permission to publish deepfakes at all, though enforcement is another matter. The challenge for laws is to target harmful usage without stifling beneficial or creative uses of the tech. This is a fine line. A blanket ban on all deepfakes would be neither feasible nor desirable. Consider satire or movie special effects. So laws focus on intent, such as intent to deceive or defame. Platform policies. Major social media and content platforms bear a lot of responsibility here. Many platforms have updated their policies to explicitly ban harmful deepfakes. For example, Facebook and Twitter, or X, prohibit deepfakes that could mislead users in voting or cause harm. YouTube, likewise, doesn't allow AI-modified videos that spread misinformation in certain sensitive contexts. The enforcement, however, is difficult. Platforms are now investing in detection tools and user reporting mechanisms. Some platforms partner with fact-checkers to review suspicious viral videos quickly. Accountability is a key push. Experts argue platforms should be liable if they fail to remove proven deepfake propaganda or fraud promptly. This remains a contentious debate balancing free expression with harm prevention. Voluntary codes and industry standards. In sectors like advertising and political campaigning, there are moves toward voluntary codes of conduct. For instance, the Advertising Standards Council in some regions is drafting guidelines that any AI-generated spokesperson or simulated testimonial in ads must be disclosed. Politicians, at least some, have pledged not to use deepfakes against opponents, though the temptation remains. The tech industry is working on standards for content authentication through the Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity, CTPA, which seeks to widely implement the tools we discussed in the prior chapter. If these standards gain traction, it could become an industry norm to mark AI content, making it easier for consumers to identify. Legal recourse for victims. There's also attention on empowering victims of deepfakes. This includes making it easier to sue perpetrators if they can be found, and forcing platforms to take down egregious fakes quickly. A notable case in 2023 involved a journalist who successfully sued creators of fake explicit videos with her likeness, leading to court-ordered removals. Such cases are still rare but set precedents. Additionally, some jurisdictions are exploring right to authenticity laws, giving individuals rights over their own digital likeness so they can legally challenge unauthorized AI replicas of themselves. Despite these efforts, gaps remain. The Canadian example is illustrative. Canada entered 2025 without laws specifically addressing AI disinformation, relying on patchwork voluntary measures and general laws. Many countries are in a similar boat, aware of the issue but still formulating a response. International cooperation is also in early stages. Given the cross-border nature of online content, 63% of deepfake incidents cross international lines, according to one report. There's a call for a harmonized legislation globally. Organizations like the UN and the EU-US Trade and Technology Council have put deepfake threats on their agenda to find common ground. In sum, policy is catching up, slowly but surely. The trajectory is towards greater transparency requirements and penalties for malicious use. However, laws alone won't solve the problem. Enforcement and public awareness are key. One positive effect of the regulatory spotlight is that it increases public awareness. People hear about these laws and realize why they're needed, and nudges companies to act more responsibly even before laws kick in. The final piece of the puzzle is perhaps the most critical: human vigilance and education. That's where we turn next. Ultimately, protecting ourselves and our society from AI fakes will require not just technical and legal solutions, but also an adaptation in our behavior and mindset. In this new era, every individual and organization needs a dose of healthy skepticism and new habits for verifying information. This chapter focuses on how we can cultivate a more deepfake-savvy public. Media Literacy 2.0. Traditional media literacy taught us to consider the source, check facts, and recognize bias. Now we must add verification of authenticity to the skill set. Governments and educators are starting campaigns to teach people how to spot possible deepfakes. For instance, experts suggest watching for things like unnatural eye movements or facial shadows, inconsistent lighting between frames, or odd voice cadence. However, deepfakes are getting so good that purely visual auditory hints are not reliable. So, media literacy also means learning not to take digital media at face value. See a shocking video of a public figure? Don't immediately believe or share it. Cross-check with trusted news outlets or the figure's official channels. Pause and ask, could this be fake? Encouraging the public to adopt a pause, verify, then share approach is crucial. Verification tools for all. Just as antivirus software became a staple on computers, we may see personal deepfake detection tools become common. Already, there are free web services where you can upload a video or image and it will analyze whether it's likely AI generated. People should be aware of and use these tools when in doubt. Some newsrooms now have dedicated deepfake forensic analysts. Perhaps one day our smartphones will have a built-in deepfake alert when watching a video. Until then, a bit of manual effort, like checking multiple sources or doing a reverse image search, can go a long way in verifying content. Internal protocols, families and teams. On a very practical level, families are even coming up with their own safeguards. As mentioned earlier, having a family code word known only to members can be a lifesaver if you get an odd call from a loved one in distress. If the caller doesn't know the secret word, it's likely not really them. Corporations similarly are training staff to slow down and independently verify requests, even if they come in via what looks like the boss's email or Zoom call. It's about creating a culture where authenticity is always double-checked for important matters. This cultural shift is not easy. It feels awkward to question what seems real, but it's becoming necessary. Trust but verify might become the mantra of our times. Staying informed and calm. The public should stay informed about the latest scams and deepfake trends. Awareness of what's possible is half the battle. For example, knowing that voice cloning can be done with just seconds of audio helps people understand why they shouldn't trust unverified voice messages. Law enforcement and consumer protection agencies now frequently issue alerts about AI scams, urging people to be cautious. The advice in many ways resembles classic fraud prevention. Be skeptical of urgent pleas, confirm through another channel, etc., but now even more so. One cybersecurity expert noted that simply taking a brief pause can undermine most deepfake scams because it gives you time for rational thought. Scammers rely on shock and speed, so slowing down reactions is a learned skill to thwart them. Trust, but not total distrust. Interestingly, as we adapt, we must avoid swinging to the other extreme, a state of total disbelief where we assume everything is fake. That would breed cynicism and paralysis. We still have many authentic sources and ways to establish truth. The key is to trust carefully. Rely on institutions that verify information like reputable news agencies, use official or direct communication when it truly matters, and apply critical thinking, especially to sensational content. As one set of stakeholder guidelines suggests, platforms should label verified media to rebuild audience trust, and consumers should practice pause, verify, share. In this way, we collectively maintain a functional level of trust in society even where fakes exist. Empowering the truth tellers. We should also support journalists, fact-checkers, and technologists working to keep us informed of reality. When a debunking of a viral fake comes out, that needs as much amplification as the fake did. In the long run, rebuilding trustworthy institutions, media, government, etc., that people know they can fall back on for verification is crucial. If a shocking video appears and you know you can check a trusted fact-checking site an hour later to confirm, you're less likely to be misled. So, part of the human solution in investing in those guardians of truth. In summary, defeating the death of trust will require all of us to become more vigilant consumers of media. This is a cultural shift that is only beginning. Our parents might have said, "Don't believe everything you read on the internet," and we will tell our children, "Don't trust everything you see or hear online." Yet, with education and better tools, we can still live in a society where truth has value and lies can be exposed. When seeing isn't believing, how do we move forward? AI-generated fakes pose one of the great trust challenges of our time. They force us to rethink age-old assumptions about evidence and reality. In this video, we've traveled through the landscape of this issue, from the dizzying capabilities of modern deepfake technology to its fallout in scams, politics, personal life, and the responses mobilizing against it. It's clear that trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. We can never again be as naive about digital content as we once were, but perhaps that's a necessary evolution. Just as society adapted to the printing press and the misinformation it could spread, or to Photoshop in the 2000s, we will adapt to deepfakes. It will require innovation, regulation, and education in tandem. Innovation to authenticate media and detect fakes at scale, regulation to dissuade malicious use and demand transparency, and education to arm every individual with skepticism and verification skills. Encouragingly, the crisis has galvanized action. The fact that 85% of Americans acknowledge deepfakes eroding trust means the public is no longer in the dark. Businesses are recognizing that customer trust is a tangible asset that needs safeguarding in the age of AI. Governments are beginning to treat misleading AI content as a serious threat to civic stability, not just a niche tech issue. In a sense, trust must be earned back digitally. We may see the rise of new verification services, perhaps even a sort of UL certification or blue check marks for authentic media. Society will develop norms around what evidence is required before believing something sensational. It's a daunting problem, but not an insurmountable one. To end on a constructive note, AI itself will be a big part of the solution. The very technologies that created this problem are being repurposed to fix it. From AI that flags fake videos in real time, to secure AI systems that only produce traceable, watermarked outputs. If we continue to innovate responsibly and collaborate across sectors, we can outpace the malicious uses. Most importantly, we as consumers of information should not lose hope. Truth still matters, and there are countless honest content creators, journalists, and officials striving to keep it alive. By supporting these efforts and being careful about what we trust and share, each of us contributes to an environment where lies can be revealed and trust can be maintained. In this post-trust world, the motto might be, verify first and then we can believe. The death of unquestioning trust does not mean the death of all trust. It means a rebirth of a more resilient, informed trust, one suited for the realities of the AI age. Thank you for listening. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and let's ensure that truth prevails even when there's fakes abound. I hope you enjoyed and have a good day.